Knocking, knocking, knocking. Every night is a horrifying experience for your family. The creatures that cause all this ruckus, small metallic aliens. But this has been enough. It's gone on for far too long. You and your family finally grab your weapons and fire off shots. The sounds of metallic clinking bounce off everywhere with each blast, and the night roars with gunfire as your home is filled with holes and smoke. And before long you see that the night has passed and the sun is rising. You and your family finally run out of ammunition as your gun clicks at the side of the trigger. Your home is in shambles. Aliens left in ruin. Pools of mysterious liquid running out of them, like oil. Once you go back to town to tell the sheriff and gather the people, they come back and find nothing but a bullet-ridden home. No one will ever believe you or your story. Welcome back to the 4th Alien Files episode of A Delve Deeper. I'm your host, Joey, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate.
That's me!
Come follow us as we search the files here for a deeper understanding, finding, and meaning behind some of the world's greatest mysteries, hauntings, cryptids, and mythos. Come with us as we attempt to take a delve deeper. And I love this story so much. This is one that I grew up learning about, and if you don't know it, it's the Kelly Hopkinsville aliens.
Right, yeah. I had never heard about this until you brought it up to me, and then doing research, I was like, whoa, this is like a big deal. How have I not heard about this before? So it's going to be a good one. I'm excited.
It's actually really, really interesting, just with everything that's been going on with it since we did finish up the Alien Invasion Day that they host every year in August each year. And so, yeah, if you guys ever know about that, or if you're a big fan of the alien community, you probably know about Alien Invasion Day, stuff like that. But we'll get into that a little bit later and what they do and everything that goes on there. But for now, the actual Kelly Hopkinsville encounter is just insane. It happened in, I believe, 1955, if I'm recalling right. My notes here.
Yep, 69 years ago, and it's got a bunch of names. So it's Kelly Hopkinsville Encounter, or the Hopkinsville Goblins case, or the Kelly Green Men case. Like it's got a bunch of different names.
Yeah, I love the goblins, like
the goblins and ghouls, the gobbledygooks.
As a favored TTRPG nerd, I love the idea of goblins and ghouls. So,
yeah,
I think it's really funny to see the artist renditions of these as well, because they kind of look like goblins.
I know, they give them like the big ears and stuff.
Yeah. So this was an encounter that came together in 1955 near Kelly and Hopkinsville in Christian County, Kentucky. Ufologists regard it as probably one of the most significant and well-documented cases in history. And while skeptics will say that the reports were due to the effects of the excitement of gunfire, and psychologists have also kind of chimed in and said that the incident is an academic example of pseudoscience to help students distinguish truth from fiction. And a little bit more on that is those psychologists were pretty much saying, like, you're misidentifying meteors and owls.
Yeah, they tried to say that it was just...
know how you do that.
I don't understand how... Alright, so when they say that they're misidentifying meteors and owls, it's because they literally believed that it was just great horned owls just walking around. But here's the problem with that. This family unloaded their guns into the trees, through their house for more than 2 hours. Birds would not hang around gunfire that long. They just wouldn't.
No.
They would leave.
You would hear the flight too, where they just start flapping.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not owls, but
Yeah,
you know, you would see it, at least see them go somewhere. You know. So.
Right. Yeah, 2 hours? No, you wouldn't be firing guns for 2 hours if they had just left after the first couple shots. Like,
yeah, quote unquote, one of the kids that went to actually go get the sheriff and stuff said it was nearly 4 hours of pure shooting.
Yeah, just gunfire.
Which this is a family of 7 children and 5 adults.
Yeah, so 12 people.
That's 12
total.
people. Yeah, that's
all
a lot
claiming
of people
the same
and
thing.
A lot of ammo. And I remember in the story, there's even they armed everybody, including the children. So
yeah,
you got to think there's at least 12 guns, and they brought ammo to last them for 4 hours. That's not a significant, especially back in 1955. That wasn't cheap.
Oh no. They were definitely prepared for something. And being in Kentucky in the 50s, it could have been a lot of stuff. It could have been everything from moonshine to they just wanted to be left alone as mountain folk. You know what I mean? Like it could have been a lot of stuff in the 50s.
And this one's it's just interesting because I just can't believe some of the claims that people make too, where they're like, there's just no way that that's possible. And you're like, okay, this is one of those stories that I always believe alien stories. I know, come at me, hate me, whatever. But I always believe alien stories like this because they're so significant and they're not. There's just, in my mind, I'm like, how do you just disregard what 12 people are seeing, or how do you disregard the pure amount of ammunition that has been fired off?
Right.
In
and
fear.
This was in fear, yeah, exactly. And this was the Sutton family, and Elmer Sutton and one of the other adults, Billy Ray Taylor, were saying that they were taking shots at these creatures as they popped up at the doorway or looked into the window. That's not an owl behavior, for the record.
No.
That's and they said that it was somewhere like 12 to 15, possibly more. And then, 2 to 4 hours of just pure shooting. And by the time they got someone into town, they got 4 police officers, 5 state troopers, 3 sheriff deputies, and 4 military police officers. And that's who they brought back to the farm. And they didn't even find any bodies of any of the aliens or anything, just lots and lots of bullet holes.
Yeah, and in the event that occurred from this, it's really interesting because they also state a lot of the time during the interview portions and everything that they held that during the night they did shoot, and every time they would fire and hit one, it would make a metallic clinking sound, almost like shooting a bucket is what they said. Almost like shooting a bucket. But the thing is that they would some of those shots were direct hits with hunting rifles, and the father he shot one. He said in one of the interviews that I pulled up that he shot one directly in the chest and saw an oil-like substance leak out of it as it ran, and then it's just gone. But that was never something they ever found, because obviously when they all finally got out and got people to come by, that's why in the little story in the beginning, no one will believe.
And in the interview portions of this too, like, they were all together. That's still 12 people. Do you know how hard it is for 12 people to have a very consistent story all the way through, especially when some of them are children?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like, and then
children don't recall very much.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Air Force was just like, no, it's a hoax. Like, come on. Like, He didn't even try.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna kind of deep dive here into the actual farmhouse residence, which is
Yeah.
Glennie Langford, her children Lonnie, Charlton, and Mary, and they had two sons from a previous marriage named Elmer Sutton and John Chady Sutton, and their respective. They both had wives with them as well, Vera and Aileen, and then Aileen's brother, Opie Baker, and Billy Ray Taylor, and
Yeah.
Billy Ray Taylor's wife, June. Both the Taylors and Vera Sutton were reportedly like carnival workers and they were just visiting the farmhouse.
Right.
And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, right? You gotta think. You got the sons. You got the three kids. You got two sons from a previous marriage. They brought their wives. So these aren't just children, right? Like
No.
Lonnie, Charlton, and Mary, I believe, are the youngest. Where Elmer and John are pretty older, pretty much older. I mean, even Glennie and oh man, I'm blanking on his name. I'm trying to find it now. Her husband.
O.P. Baker?
No, Glennie's husband, the main father of the event, Mr. Sutton himself.
Oh, Elmer?
Anyway.
Elmer Sutton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who it was.
They called him Lucky. I beg to differ, but okay.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But still, with all the people there's just more. There's more adults in this situation than there are children, which is interesting to say. Because when you say children, we're thinking like, oh, like 2, 3 years. No, these kids were old enough to be.
Some of them were teenagers. Yeah.
Yeah, they're old enough to hold firearms and understand how to shoot. Even the littlest one, I believe, had a gun.
Right. So. Yeah. And give little Billy there the .22 pistol. He'll be all right. No. Oh.
Get knocked back Billy. Every shot.
Little Billy breaks his nose. Just picture Jack with a switchblade, and that was the baby, just ready to go. No.
Yeah.
What I think gives this story even more credence, besides the fact of the amount of people, is they brought all those cops out there who were out there for hours searching around, basically dismissed it and left. And then they came back the next day to do more police work, and the families were gone. And the neighbors were like, yeah, they packed up and left because they said that the creatures came back at 3:30 in the morning. So they just left.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that came from it is that they were like, it's not that they didn't want to protect their home, they ran out of ammo.
Yeah, that's why they left.
It's like that's such a Kentucky thing to me. It's like, well, we're out of ammunition. All right, kids, pack up. We're leaving.
Yep. That's so crazy.
The early articles and stuff didn't refer to these as like the little green men. The color of them was later added to old, like the newer news stories.
Yeah.
But the size of them were about 2 to 4 feet and detailed, such as large pointed ears, claw-like hands, eyes that glowed yellow, spindly legs, metallic like suits.
Yeah, and the oil. The liquid
weird
substance.
Oil blood. I think it's interesting because Rodney Schmaltz and Scott Lilienfeld, the psychologists, cite the alleged incident. You know, that when they were talking about the owl thing, is those guys that made the owl assumption. They're like, they were just great horned owls.
Yeah.
And they were
anybody
intoxicated.
Anybody that knows anything, even a little bit, about birds. Like, those birds could have been doing crack cocaine, Joey. I don't care how intoxicated they were. They weren't hanging around for that long of firearms.
They could have been arsonist bears or wolves, and they're not going to do that.
That's right, everything's actually a bear.
It's always the bears, isn't it? Yeah, well, I think it's strange because to just dismiss it to birds is such a weird notion anyway.
Right.
Because as much as I think, like, okay, I'm a very big, like, I can be kind of skeptical in certain areas of this case, but for me, like, I think that's the dumbest shit to just be like, it's owls, it's birds, it's aggressive birds. Because the thing is I don't know if you know this about animals. Animals tend to do things to survive. That is like their whole life is
Right.
to survive. So they're not going to attack your home in 12 to 15 of them. Especially if you're shooting them directly in the chest. And hearing, last time I checked, horned owls do not have a metallic plating to protect them from hunters.
Oh yeah, and those are owls, like those are birds. So like even there's video footage out there. I'm a big animal guy. I love me some animals. So there's lots of footage out there of like, you know, people that do like wildlife safaris will take a gun with them, not to shoot at the animal, but to shoot in the air because the loud noise scares most animals off, lions and stuff off. Sharks, for God's sake, they're not very likely to attack people, but if you punch one in the nose, it's gonna run away because it doesn't want the fight.
Instant deterrent, yeah. I mean, and that's like the thing too. I also think sharks are silly because you can flip them and they just stop.
Yeah, just flip them upside down and then they basically go to sleep.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because like there's so many different things out there, but the owl theory to me just dies in the water because I'm like, you can't tell me that a creature. Like, you're telling me that this animal is just like, oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna let this thing shoot me. Like, there's there's more predatory things that are scared of a gunshot than just like an enraged owl. You know, even if like
gunshots scare off bears most of the time. Like.
Yeah, well, it's because it's louder than it, like, and that's just an intimidation factor, you know. It's another thing, out in the wild that gets used every single day. And again, I just think it's some bullshit, and I'm like, bro, you can't just tell somebody that and be like, actually, you're like, no.
Yeah, it was owls. They just, you know, kept peeking into the window, took gunshots to the chest, hung around for 4 hours, conveniently left when the police were there,
I'm just saying,
and then came back at 3:30 in the morning.
You know what?
What?
Nate, I think we're wrong. I think it was the owls. I think I'm going to change my mind right here. Confirmed owl drones. Birds aren't real, everyone. Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real. Birds are drones deployed by the government, and that's everything. Really what's happening in New Jersey.
Yeah, like the oil blood, the metallic structure. Birds are drones. We've confirmed it. I was so silly to ever speak my mind on that.
That is one of my favorite theories that like holds very little water, is the birdsaren'treal.org or whatever.
That's what I need. Hey, they might be right. I'm just saying. Keep that in the back of your mind, folks. But
that's gonna be the first big reveal when aliens land. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, birds not real. What are you guys, dumb? Hollow bones? That doesn't exist. No,
they're not real. They're not real. Sorry, guys. Ciao. But ufologist Jerome Clark wrote that the supposed creatures floated through the trees, and the sound of them getting struck again resembled bullets striking a metal pocket. And Clark described it as an odd luminous patch along the fence where one of the beings had been shot, and in the woods beyond, a green light whose source could not be determined was found. However, the description was consistent with foxfire, which is a bioluminescent fungus on decaying wood. But some people suggested that it could have been the fungus, or it could have been the craft that they escaped into. Which this one, again, I think is interesting.
That part's I'm a little more skeptical on than the them actually being there, because people listen, drug trips don't really last that long, where you're just unloading into the woods for 4 hours and then leave because they came back at 3:30 in the morning. Like,
I'm just saying
so
it's an interesting thing to think about because some of this, like, this is where I get some of it. I'm like, okay, the skepticism with it. Foxfire is a real fungus that does
oh yeah,
glow, and I've seen it myself. And like, that's one of the things where you're like, if you were kind of already freaked out about everything and you're shooting in the distance, you're shooting that, like, I could understand maybe glimpsing that, and they run in the direction of the forest or whatnot, and then like you're like, oh, there's their ship. It's like, one could say, yeah, that might be one of those like hallucinogenic cases of like, oh, you're kind of just like so frightened that it's causing you to think that things are other things. Yeah, I don't know. It's more believable for me on this one because it's like a real plant. It's a real fungus. It's real. It does look really weird, and at night I can imagine while you're shooting and you're firing, because if you've ever fired a gun, folks, there's a flash from guns.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's a very bright flash. I would not be surprised if these people are continuously getting this flash applied to their eyes, and it's just messing with your vision a little bit.
Okay,
especially
yeah,
after 2 to 4 hours. Like, you could see that maybe like that flash would kind of maybe enhance that like fear in you, and that kind of like messes with your eyesight, messes with your perception of things, and then you mistake some fungus in the woods for it. You know, like, that is one believable part I can understand.
I think it's a little important to note too that I'm sure a lot of people know, but maybe most don't. Those guns that you see and hear in the movies, way inaccurate. Like, guns are insanely loud, and then metal hitting metal that fast, also insanely loud. Like, so this wasn't like the, you know, like an action scene in a movie. This was reverberating echoes for hours. Like,
yeah,
so
and if you hear a gunshot, like, I've heard some gunshots in my life, just as someone who has, you know, used guns and like up close and far away. Typically, you do not use guns without ear protection.
Right.
Because it is so loud, it can disrupt your hearing and disable
shatter your eardrum.
Yeah, it can shatter your eardrum.
Depending on the gun.
And these are high standard hunting rifles, which
they're it's not like a 22.
Powerful. Yeah, they're not like little tiny itty bitty gun committee stuff, you know. So we're dealing with some pretty high power gear that is meant to kill buck, which, if you know,
so probably
how
like
big
stuff like 30-08 and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're pretty big weaponry, and you also got kids with weapons too. So, you know, I think it's just an interesting take, especially for someone that's like, I understand how guns are and how they work. Like, some people probably won't take that into account. That's why I think it's very interesting to touch on it, because those things do matter. Regardless if it's a rifle, a shotgun, a pistol, all of them flash, and especially in the pitch black of night. Like, let's be honest. At night, it could be really bad, and I'm surprised none of them shot each other. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah, because they said there was bullet holes in the trees, and the walls, and the screen door, and the ceiling. Like,
oh, that house was riddled with holes. I mean, they started because they shot up the house, because where they began was inside the house, and that's where the shooting originated. They tore up their house to the point where it was beyond repair.
Yeah.
And so they tore up the house.
The Bonnie and Clyde car, but on a house.
yeah. So they tore up the house, and then they made their way outside. And it's, to my understanding, that they did like the group circle thing, and hence I think that would help. Yeah, back to back
to each other.
That would have helped them not misfire. But I think the
Yeah.
house part, the beginning of the house incident where they're shooting inside the home, I think that's the part where it's like surprising none of them got shot.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because that's an
nothing
enclosed
deflected
space.
and no
Yeah.
stray bullets, no random accidents of misfiring when you're going to reload or anything like that. Like,
So
yeah,
either they were really,
you're
really
right.
good and really, really good at shooting a weapon, or maybe they'd done it a lot, but like I just think it's impressive. I think that's a very
Well,
impressive thing.
being 1955, being a farmhouse with that many people, that many weapons, and that much ammo, they were probably planning to stand up to the government if they ever came by. Um, I'm not gonna name drop, but I had two uncles who were in a very similar situation, and they did get raided. And if they didn't both have young children at the time, they would have committed basically death by cop. But instead, they cooperated and they got a light sentence because it wasn't a terrible thing. But like that was two of my uncles in the 2000s. This is a farm family in 1955. Less fucks were given, I promise.
I believe it, and I mean, with it being such a small town,
Oh yeah.
and you got to think that the homes between the homes are miles out. I mean, because farmland, if anybody, if you're a city person and you live in the city or you've done um, light scavenging kind of around different towns and maybe you're driving around countries or whatnot, you'll notice going from anywhere. I mean, even in Utah to Idaho, you'll see farms. People own that land, and then the next farm 8 miles down is their neighbor.
Right.
So like, you also gotta think they can shoot as much as they want, and there's no police that's gonna roll up on them. They have to go to town, which is 10 to 15 miles out, sometimes more, and then they gotta drive them all the way back to do That's why like farmhouse murders and stuff take so long to get fixed, because farmhouses just are so far out in the countryside from the city. It just takes a long time for police to get there. And this is not this is
I
the
live
same situation.
Yeah, I live in Montana, and there's like Montana is actually a really big land state, but not a lot of people state. And to the point, like some of these houses are so spread out that there is in between towns basically volunteer fire departments and stuff because they're not going to come from the city. You know what I mean? There's a helicopter here that makes flights every day. It's called Help Flight because sometimes people get hurt and they're far away. They have to send a helicopter to go get them and bring them to the hospital in town. Like,
yeah,
it's definitely
costly.
the wild, wild west.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've learned over the years that like I see that there's just some weirdness to it as well. I think it's interesting that they brought so many people too. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but like they brought like a ton of officers down. And I know that the officers specifically when they were investigating this, they thought like, oh, this is like a shootout between two farmhands. So they thought this was like the real deal. There's two families feuding, shooting up an entire, area. So I do know that they brought a lot of people because of that, but I still think it's odd to bring that many people and like bring military police. To me, that's the part that gets me, is like the military police part. I'm like, okay, that's a little weird, but alright.
Right? Yeah, I know. It's so many. But it's one of those things where it's like, that to me lends more credence to it. You panic so hard. You got every form of law enforcement and military law enforcement involved.
Yeah, well, this is also a Men in Black case where
for
the
sure.
family
100%.
has been they've been quoted to been visited by the Men in Black. So take with that what you will. I think they're incredibly strange. But this
I think that
1955, let's see.
Yeah, so 69 years ago last year, it'll be 70 years this year. But I think it's really interesting that the US Air Force Project Blue Book has this declared as a hoax still, even though all that stuff happened. They were like, there's no physical evidence that this happened, but there might have been. We just don't know because of all that 1955 work and stuff, not to the same level that we have today. So there might have been, and they just left it, or didn't care, or didn't think to catalog it because the family was gone, so the problem's probably over, right? Like, that's how people kind of looked at things back then, because there wasn't as many checks and balances put in place as we have today. But I do think it's cool, and this is, of course, something I always bring up in every one of these. I think it's cool how it's affected our culture, our pop culture. So there's several movies that are loosely based on this event or things from this event, such as Night Skies in the 1970s. The creatures from both, the creatures from Critters, Sabline and Pokemon, and Hopkins and Pathfinder are all supposedly based around this and these creatures.
And let me just say, Critters is my most favorite alien horror of all time. It's my favorite
Critters
movie series. I love it. And I have based one of my own alien races in my TTRPG Reemergence off of Critters. So
hell yeah,
I have a very big love for the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter and the different media posting of it myself.
Yeah, and if anybody out there is interested, I know in 2003, so just a couple years ago, they did a very well done documentary. I believe it's on, I want to say it's on like Runtime or something. I'm sure you can find it, but it's literally called Hopkinsville: The Alien Goblins. And it's somebody that's narrating the events, but they kind of go into it not as deep as we delve, but but it's narrated by David White. So it's a pretty good movie. It's definitely something I would recommend going to watch if you're interested in this case.
And
for sure,
I will
100%.
say, if you're interested in viewing the case step by step by step by step, then I would definitely go watch a documentary. Because the one thing that I will say is, like, there's a lot of this, like the more popular ones. I know we're not going to delve too much into the actual story, because a lot of us probably that are watching this have heard of it or are interested in it. There's plenty of movies and stuff that you can watch to go get like a visual representation of it.
Right.
I feel like this we kind of just talk a lot about like the events and the things that are spooky, so to speak.
Spoopies. But yeah, I mean, 2 to 4 feet tall, green, large ears, claw-like hands, yellow eyes, spindly legs. Still don't know how that equates to an owl. But what's funny is like you said, they still have that annual festival. And there's a I don't know if it's a committee or a group or what it is that puts it on, but it's the group is called Visit Hopkinsville. And the operations manager of that is Ginny Pruitt. And she says the Sutton family was sitting down to a big, nice family dinner in Kelly, Kentucky. One of the older gentlemen gone out to the well to gather some water when he said they were visited by what they called 12 little silver men that floated above the ground. That's the first time I heard anybody's take on it being 12 silver men that floated like that. Like, he said they floated through the trees, but I never recall them saying they floated just above the ground like that. And so it was really interesting to see that today even that stuff changes. 12 to 15, 2 to 4 hours, silver or green. It's really interesting to see, and it's just proof that we have no fucking idea what it was.
Yeah, it's it's such an amazing encounter, in my opinion, for all this, for everything that goes on. Because even on the official website to visit Hopkinsville, they have a mystery tab, and their fun fact of the week is that Steven Spielberg said that his 1982 movie E.T. was loosely based on the Kelly Greenman account, which is interesting.
I didn't see that one, but that's funny. It wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, it seems a lot of these places have taken inspiration and just
Apparently,
run
it's
with
also
it
the
from this
butter
encounter.
capital of the world. Just read about that.
It was the butter machines. They were going on strike.
AI butter machines, eh?
What is my purpose? You pass butter. Oh my god.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Fucking butter. But yeah, it's an interesting place. I'll give it that. And they still have they do a lot in their community as well. Like if you ever view their community website when they do the Alien Invasion Day, it gets crazy. Apparently, thousands upon thousands of people show up. So
it's really good for their economy, so they have definitely fully embraced it. They're like, oh no, it's real. We don't care what the Air Force says. We're gonna celebrate it like it's real, because that brings way too much money.
Well, it does. It does bring in money, and I think it's great for the little town to have some life pumped into it. And I said the same thing with the Mothman and everything as well.
Yeah, the fact that they have the museums and all that type of stuff that are dedicated to it, all the charities that they donate, the fact that, for the festival, percentage of the proceeds really just goes back into the town. And it's really cool to see people embrace the strange and unknown like that, rather than fear it or attack it.
Well, I think things like this help us integrate into, because I also am a big believer that eventually, at some point, and if you have there's an old woman that predicts a bunch of things. She's like an oracle.
Oh, yeah.
And she said that this year
Baba
we are
Yaga.
going
No,
to pretty fucking much. She's crazy, but she's crazy awesome is what I should say. But she predicted this year we'll actually finally encounter extraterrestrials as a society, not just
Oh,
and
yeah,
that
absolutely.
was her own thing. And then she also predicted the soccer tournament this year. So I don't know. I guess she's got some different priorities. She's jumping from aliens to soccer, but hey.
I'm just picturing an old woman over her crystal ball, rubbing it and going, I see Bigfoot will become real. And then fucking touchdown! No, just
she's like, oh yeah, oh my god. You guys should be watching the game right now. Oh yeah, never mind. Sorry. Shit was
I forgot
awesome.
what I was doing.
Yeah, just sitting there fucking drinking Bud Light, watching the game.
Yeah, that's what I need in my life. I need a redneck oracle in my life. One hand in the sweatband of his pants, another on a Bud Light, and he just sits there and then has like a That's So Raven moment where he sits up and he's like, Dale Earnhardt's retiring this year or something. You know what I mean? Just
oh shit!
I need a redneck oracle in my life.
Messi just made another goal. Oh my god, man! Wait, I want to see.
All right.
No, you don't have mystical oracle powers like me.
Me. If you would have drank from that fountain of youth we found that was actually a toilet in the back of the old abandoned 7-Eleven, maybe you'd have some. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm pretty sure that was oil, but okay.
Yeah. But I love this encounter. I love this story. I think it's really, really cool. And if you believe the rumors, supposedly there is a galactic federation, and we have had contact with aliens this year, specifically one in an egg-shaped UAP in Antarctica. We were talking a little bit about that beforehand. And he basically confirmed that there's a galactic federation that wants to deal with us somehow. So that'll be fun if that's all true. That's gonna be interesting.
I figured out. I found her name. So her name is Baba Vanga, a Bulgarian
Vanga,
mystic.
not Yaga.
Yeah, a Bulgarian mystic predicted that 2025 would have global upheaval, natural disasters, and scientific breakthroughs. So some of the stuff that she predicted were volcanoes, floods, and earthquakes. And the scientific breakthroughs, she said, this year we will perfect lab-grown organs and create clean energy sourcing. And then she said other predictions, which this prediction I feel like is really stupid because no duh, but Vladimir Putin would be reelected as Russia's leader.
That'd be crazy.
He
don't
will.
like him right now.
He will, though. He'll be reelected. He just has so much money. He'll just kill people and just make them vote for him. That's a no-brainer. He's done that for like 20 years.
The Clinton method. No.
Yes, I know. Just so you know, just wanted to put this out there. Trump also signed documents that we will get more information on the assassination of different presidents. And what information we
they
have.
already released the MLK and JFK ones.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's signing a lot of stuff. Be cool if he read some of it, but
yeah.
But he if we fully integrate with aliens this year, I'm just saying it's going to be crazy because people are talking about, moving countries. I'm just saying if we start jumping that conversation of moving planets, what is that going to sound like? Like, oh yeah, I'm just going to Glorpnar for the summer. Going to Slit Knife 6.
Man.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy, dog. I want to go to Veneer 19. The hell?
Right.
I've seen that they have infinite metal rain. It hurts.
It hurts. In a good way. It hurts so
In my
good.
favorite way.
No, but...
Okay. But I just think it's really interesting because she also, yes, did predict that we would have full integration with our alien brethren. So thanks, the Pope.
The Pope, specifically.
Yeah, he opened all 5 portals, bro. We're on our way.
Oh man,
That's
all I'm
my
saying is the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand is what they said caused the last World War. I don't need the portal opening of Pope Francis to cause the first global war, okay? So let's all be peaceful here.
For
Me
a
and
minute-
Joey, we got those letters.
Nice, pretty sure shit. We need to enlist the
Pope
help of
comes
the
out.
aliens to win.
Pope comes out and it's like, turns out you are a terrible judge of characters. I am actually Satan.
Damn! I should have got it. I know he was eating bugs and summoning flies. I should have caught that. Damn.
there were definitely signs.
There definitely shines. I was not looking at him. But yeah,
I mean, his name is Francis. It's just so cool. No, I'm just kidding.
he's the Pope and he's Francis. Why is these 2 different entities in one? Is this the Pope or is this Francis I'm speaking to?
All I'm gonna say is if the next Pope's name is Leonard, I called it.
If that's the case, he's gonna be asking you to kiss his ass, literally. So we will be put into a different timeline if that is the case. I'm just saying, bring back the particle accelerator. Bring it back.
Yeah. I need the Hadron Collider 4 times in a row, please.
Yep. I just need to change Godzilla. We come back. It's like Rodzilla. You're like, oh, I don't. Why does he look like a dude from He's like, oh, well, he's redneck. Okay. But yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
all of that's really fun, and I really enjoy all the predictions and everything that's been going on. If you guys ever want to go support that town and go to the Alien Invasion Day, I myself want to go this year. Same with the Mothman Festival. I got big plans to go visit different places this year to go enjoy the festivities of aliens, hauntings, spookiness. Still not going to go into the
Absolutely.
forest and search for the goat man. Yeah, I
You're
don't
not
want
gonna
to do
try
that.
to go get that sample from the Jersey Devil and find
I
out?
don't think so. I don't think so. I think he will get a sample of me on a platter. And I don't
That's
trust that.
where that's where our Delvers can go if they want to support that town. But where can our Delvers go if they want to support you?
Where can they support me? Well, they can support us over on patreon.com/patchwork games. And yeah, we're gonna be posting up some stuff this year. Like we were saying, we're gonna have some stuff this year that's gonna be really awesome, really fun. I've been just working to get these little things out so we can perhaps have some extra episodes and stuff for you guys. Maybe some special
Heck yeah.
episodes we'll have eventually uploaded up there that are going to be Patreon exclusive. So that's all coming this year. I'm really excited for that. I've got big reworks
yeah.
coming to DED. If you're coming from DED and you miss it, it will be coming back. It's just we're going through big revisions to better fit the YouTube format. But that's me, and of course, Nate here is a VA or a voice actor if you need his services. Shout out
That's
to
right.
services,
I am
sir.
an actor. No, but yeah, Joey's right. I am a voice actor. You can find me under most social medias as Blizzard Wizard, BLZZRD, WZZRD, as well at blizzardwizard.com, where I have samples and stuff up on my website if you're needing any types of those services. Definitely go check out Joey's Patreon. Go check out DED, Dastardly Easy DMing, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And go support his games. The one you just released is Parasitic Paradigm.
Yes, sir. If you like spooky zombies, but you don't like that they're rotting corpses, instead you want to fight beasts of unknown nature and unknown capacity, then feel free. We also have linked to our Discord that runs. We'll have a tab open for that as well coming up. That's going to be Patrick Games /media. If you guys go over there, you can see our tags on YouTube. So if you want to go search over there and maybe give us a little subby sub, that would be really fun. And of course, if you guys want to join the discussion over in Discord and want to play some games, or maybe you just want to talk about haunting stuff, maybe you have a haunting experience yourself and you feel like talking about it, go follow us over there as well. And it's going to be really awesome to see you guys in the community kind of work together to get that. And I'm very happy with the progress we've made so far in this podcast. Super awesome. And I'm very,
16
very
episodes
happy.
in.
I know. We're not even that deep yet. We're not even delving that deep ourselves yet.
We're gonna delve so much deeper.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And potentially merch might be on the way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be super awesome. I'm looking forward to that. As soon as I get my hands on the art and everything finished out, Nate, you know you're going to be the first person to see that. And I'm probably going to ship that shit to you immediately. So don't worry, buddy. We got a lot of things coming this year. I'm really excited to keep this pod going and keep this stuff going. And of course, I love you, Delvers. We will see you again next time. Mwah, mwah.
Love you guys so much. We'll find out where the Hopkinsville Goblins sit on the cake chart, and we will delve with you guys next time.
Yep, and join us for another Mythos file. Ooh, we're diving back into Mythos, yes. So stay tuned, and of course, thank you guys so much for the support. Bye.
Bye.